It is the last Sunday of the year, and we have taken a tradition of doing a white stone ceremony as the year changes. And if you have your white stone, this is a perfect opportunity for you to to take that and use it to create a new name. If you don't have a white stone, you can use an index card or a piece of paper or anything that happens to be on hand because it's not about the stone, it's not about the ceremony, it's about the intentionality of it. I've had a tendency, as done these white stone ceremonies, to put the stones with my new name for each year on the altar that's in my office over there. And there are 14 of them already. So we've been doing this for a while. And it's interesting. I don't go back and look at the name that I wrote on them, and they're not dated by year, but it is a total of the intentionality of my spiritual development and the process that I'm going through. And the stone by itself does not have any particular power. There's nothing in the stone that makes it magical. It's not the sorcerer's stone or something that we can use for an incantation. You can't even strike a steel against it and make a fire. These are actually stones that came from Jerusalem that are used for this ceremony. And we do it at New Year's, but that's not that we have to do it at New Year's. It's the sort of thing that we can do at any time. As far as I'm concerned, I'm completely unimpressed by New Year's as a holiday. It is like the odometer of your year going over to a new calendar, and it's going to flip from 2025 to 2026. And it has always been as exciting to me as going out and ordering a new day planner or wall calendar. It's almost as exciting as the fact that my car that I've had for 8 or 9 years has just rolled over to 70,000 miles. And I can go, "Ooh, look, 70,000 miles, right?" And say, oh, got to check the tires. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the intentionality. And as we get into the Whitestone ceremony, which we're going to do during the meditation portion of our program, when you take the white stone or the white piece of paper, note that what you are doing with is starting with a clean slate. We are clearing the slate and starting over again. In this ceremony, we get to write down a new name for ourselves on that stone or on that piece of paper. And the white stone is an ancient ritual. In Jesus' day, when someone served time in prison or in bondage of any kind, they were given a white stone when they were released. So each of us is coming from bondage one way or another. It's not like the life that we have been living for the last year or the last lifetime has been perfect in every way and every day. There's always been some challenges. And so that's the bondage that we're talking about. And today we're being given a white stone to signify our freedom. All of that past nonsense was a prison to you, and it does not need to be anymore. We're now free to let go and choose something new. And anything that you believe and can conceive, you can be and you can do. Mm. In Revelations 2:17, John talks about the people being given a new name. It says, "Let anyone who has an ear listen." And the ear that John is talking about refers not to the outer ear, but to the inner ear, the ear of the soul, the one that's within us. It's the ear that hears the still small voice of the divine. And we can develop that inner listening quality by working on it, by practicing it, and by getting our intellect out of the way and opening that channel into our hearts. So through this intentionality, through prayer and meditation, we get to travel that longest journey in the world, that 18 inches between our head and our hearts. In the second part of the scripture, it says, "And I will give a white stone, and on the white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it." So during these biblical times, it was believed that when people had overcome and made their connection with the divine, they got a new name, and that new name was written in the stone. And the interesting thing is that the name was given directly by the infinite, directly by God, by the divine, and no one else intervened, and no one else even needed to know what the name was. So this is something that is between you and spirit when that new name comes along. It's a new name, a new nature, a new freedom from bondage. And as in the old times, when people had overcome, when they were set free from their bondage, they got the stone. As is usual at the end of the year as we prepare for a new year. There's lots of authors and columnists and people in the media who want to come up with a list of the things from the year or the things that you want to know. And most of it is the best movies of the year. Fine. They put the movie schedule out so it goes by a calendar year, and then there's the Oscars. Okay. Other things are much less manufactured than that. And there were a few things that came to my attention in the last few days, and one of them is the best advice you received in 2025. And it wrote down a bunch of them that this particular author had gotten. And I thought it was interesting because some of it didn't seem to me to be advice, and some of it didn't seem to necessarily be from 2025. The first one on the list was one of those nothing changes if nothing changes. Now, A, that was not something that came about in 2025. And the author wrote down who she heard it from, but that's not who wrote it because that's been around for an awfully long time. But the important part in that metaphysically is that nothing changes if nothing changes. If I want the experience of life that I'm having to be different, then I need to be willing to do something different to engage in my life in a different way to bring about that change. You can't say, I want the world to change. The world needs to start first. I'm going to sit here and wait for the change to happen. It doesn't work that way. We are participating in a co-creative enterprise where we are creating that next experience in our lives. And unless we're ready to change, until we're ready to change, nothing changes. And it's not like we're being punished by things being the way that they've been. There's a balance point. You get your friend on the playground and you sit on the seesaw and you're in perfect balance and you're sitting there with both of your feet dangling off the edge. Nothing's going to happen until somebody moves. There's not going to be any motion. And it might not be unpleasant, but it's not a seesaw. It's not the up and down motion that you get on a seesaw for. It's just sitting in the park with your friend. And that's okay. Another one is don't think harder, breathe deeper. Most of us are surviving on shallow sips of air. And it's interesting advice from an advice perspective. And again, from a metaphysical perspective, that's real, that's rich, that's deep. What are you doing to breathe deeply of life? What are you doing to open yourself to those new possibilities? Are you inviting in something new? And if we stay stuck in our head thinking about what that next great deep breath is going to be like without actually breathing in deeply and breathing out to let go of the shallow sips that we've been doing before, we get to continue having that experience. Another one on the list. We tend to forget that baby steps still move us forward. Yeah, I'd love to have big, grand changes happening all of a sudden, that I set an intention and suddenly, and I take a little tiny step and then everything changes. It's incremental. We can change and we can change a little bit, we can change a little bit more and a little bit more. And suddenly, when we look back at 14 years worth of the white stones, it's like, wow, I'm in a completely different place than I was before. So don't discount the baby steps. Honor them and take them. If you think, oh, this isn't going to lead anywhere, this is just a little tiny baby step. Well, if you're not taking a tiny baby step, you're staying right where you were. See advice number one, nothing changes if nothing changes. Another one, which is very profound, this could be a Confucius thing. It'll be fine or it'll be over. Which is a new way of saying this too shall pass. Yeah, the experience that we are having right now might be wonderful. It'll turn out okay, or at the very least, it's going to change and something else is going to happen. It'll be fine or it'll be over. Okay. And I'm skipping over something that I don't understand. Do the dishes when the baby does dishes. Okay. I don't know what the depth is on that. One that I do like. Ask yourself, what if there was no problem to solve right now? What if there were no problem to solve right now? Maybe it is okay. Maybe it's all right to be in this place of peace and harmony. There's not much going on, and it's just okay. There's not a problem to solve. Maybe you have the afternoon off. some of us are terrified. Oh my God, what am I going to do with myself if there's not a problem to solve? I'm a problem solver. Well, you know what problem solvers need is problems. So maybe you can let go of that. Maybe you can change the way that you're looking at that. Maybe you can have a slightly different perspective there. There's also a suggestion to write down whatever it is that's bothering you on a piece of paper, put it in a box. In a year, read what's in there and see if you don't start laughing. Because the problems that you've been having, the problems all of us have been having for years and years or decades, either we get to accept that that's part of our lives, or we get to say, why was I so bothered by that? Why in the world was I so wrapped up in that? Hmm. I was listening to some affirmations yesterday, a recording of affirmations, and some of them were inspiring and uplifting. Things like, when I let go of attachment, new possibilities open to me. When I let go of attachment, new possibilities open to me. And that's inspiring and uplifting. And another one, I know that I can create a life of health and comfort. That's also touching and uplifting. And I've been teaching this class of practitioners, and we keep on drilling that you have an affirmation that uses the four P's: positive, powerful, personal, and present tense. It needs to be very powerful, and those have equivocations in them. When I let go of attachment, new possibilities open to me. And conversely, when I don't, they aren't. So I don't want to know that when I let go of attachment, new possibilities open to me. I want to let go of attachment. I want to step into new possibilities. Are you making a bold, positive claim about what you want to be experiencing in your life? I know that I can create a life of health and comfort. Okay, you know that you can. Great, congratulations. Are you? Are you creating a life of health and comfort? And see above. What steps are you taking towards that? Even little tiny baby steps. And what are you changing in order to bring that experience about? Yeah, I can know that. And again, that journey from our heads into our hearts is the longest one in the world, and so rich and so valuable and so important. So watch what you're saying to yourself. Watch what you're reminding yourself of, because what you say and what you think is what's steering the boat that is your life. Mm. Stop trying to calm the storm. Calm yourself, and the storm will pass. We can get so wrapped around the axle about the stuff that's going on in our lives. And it is very true and very real and very present. And if we get wrapped up in it, then it's all about the storm. It's all about the problem. It's all about the difficulty. What if there wasn't a problem? What if there wasn't a problem? Would I still be okay? Here's one you have to think about for a second. Ask for a favor, get advice. Ask for advice, get a favor. Asking for a favor can put someone in an uncomfortable spot, but asking for advice taps into their intelligence and shows respect. It may feel slower, but it ultimately gets you what you want more effectively. The suggestion is, don't ask for a favor where you think you know what the answer is going to be. Ask for advice and invite the person who you're talking to co-create something with you, because where two or more are gathered, fill in the blank. See, that one started out being just about advice and favors, and it turns out being something profound and spiritual and metaphysical. Here's another one. Don't pick up the rope. When someone is starting to argue, state the facts calmly and walk away. What? What? And give up the opportunity to be right? To let loose the possibility that I could win the argument? What do you mean? How could I possibly do that? Yeah, well, maybe that's a good idea. You have your position. You know what you know. If somebody is saying something and you don't agree with it, you can say, I don't agree with it, state the facts, and walk away. Another one would put it a little bit more bluntly. Sometimes you have to let people lie to you. You don't always have to be right or call people on their nonsense. Sometimes people are going to say things that are not true, Sometimes they know that they're not true. Sometimes they don't know that it's not true. It doesn't make any difference. If you know that it's not true, you don't need to change them because we've seen what happens. All it does is it brings a lot of charged energy into the world and can upset our afternoon. And by the way, recreationally, you're free to do that. If you want a little bit more excitement in your life, if you want to be able to have some time arguing, yelling, screaming, then by all means sign up for some social media. Go on X and you'll find any number of people to argue with. And if you don't think so, then just say something on X and see who shows up calling you all sorts of names for all sorts of reasons that may or may not have anything to do with anything. One of my favorites. Anxiety is not intuition. Yeah. Sometimes something happens and I get the idea, uh-oh, this is bad. This could be horrible. This could be something that's trying to damage or hurt or minimize or trivialize me. And I get all anxious about it. And I can think this is the infinite suggesting something to me. And maybe it's just me being anxious. Maybe that's my anxiety. And I have seen for myself and for other people taking that anxiety, which is generally triggered by our fear, and saying, oh, that's intuition. That's the still small voice warning me not to do this. Well, then you're just trying to enlist the infinite as an accomplice in your anxiety. And raise your hand if you think that's helpful. Yeah. Anxiety is not intuition. Another one's very practical. When your 100-pound German Shepherd takes off after a squirrel, drop the leash. Do you want the 100-pound German Shepherd chasing a squirrel? No. Do you want a broken arm? No. Drop the leash. Take care of yourself and other things will be taken care of. And perhaps being in the situation with a 100-pound German Shepherd who's activated by squirrels on a leash is something that you want to avoid. But that's a choice that you get to make. But when the situation comes along, do what you need to do to take care of yourself and trust that the rest of the situation is going to come about as it needs to. And one of my favorites that comes in the advice category is put away your phone whenever there's a human being in front of you. How many times? And it's wonderful, especially with the youth. Oh, those youth these days. Go to the mall or the park or wherever it is that they're congregating and watch as a dozen of them are hanging around together, staring at their phones, not paying any attention to each other. And then feel ever so slightly judgmental until you go home and you're sitting there with a family member and you notice that you're staring at your phone and they're staring at their phone and you're doing exactly the same thing. So the advice is when there's a human being in front of you, put away your phone. The person who's in front of you has invested all of their time and all of their presence in being there present with you. Maybe there's something valuable happening there. Another interesting piece of guidance that I got this week is if you find yourself being addicted to your phone, you got to keep on looking at your phone and looking at your phone and looking at your phone. Find the color filter and turn the color off. Switch your phone to black and white. It's really easy to do on an iPhone. I don't know how to do it on an Android, but that's because I don't use an Android phone. It is amazing how much less interesting your phone is in black and white. It really is. And if you're in a position where you can say, the iPad is going to be full color and I'm going to go use that, or the computer is going to be in full color and I'm going to use that whenever it's appropriate, and my phone is going to be for communicating, for stuff that I need to do immediately, but it's not going to be the eye candy that I use to keep my life going. Try it. I'm going to say try it for a week. Try it for 10 minutes. Try it just to try it. The next time you're looking at your phone, look for the setting, turn it to black and white, and see how it changes the experience. Will it make it less fun? Yes, that's the point. That's the point. Because if there's somebody standing in front of you and there's a relatively boring phone in your pocket, you'll probably just talk to the person in front of you and it'll make that part of it easier. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you are seeking a change in the world, then you get to start by making that change yourself first. So we're going to do a meditation, a couple of minutes. And during the meditation, you're going to invite the infinite to suggest a new name to write down on your white stone. And when we do that, the infinite is always ready to respond. If you think you know what your new name is going to be, then consider maybe you don't know it yet. Maybe there's a different name that's available to you that you haven't thought of yet. Maybe you can travel that distance from your head into your heart, and instead of trying to figure out what your name is going to be, what your word for the year is going to be, what your claim for this next circle around the sun is going to be, let go of being attached to it and open to a new possibility. And there's another thing that I saw just this morning, with some great questions. And I'm just going to give you the list of questions, and you can ponder those a little bit, and then take those into the quiet when we do the meditation. This year, when did you feel most joyful and carefree? What gave you energy? What drained it? What seemed impossible and you did it anyway? What habit, if you did it more consistently, would have a positive effect on your life? What did you try to control that was actually outside of your control? And I saved my favorite for last. Is there anyone you need to forgive? Think of your own questions, think of your own inquiry, and take it up with the infinite. It's going to be quiet when we get to the meditation. And in the meantime, Jeff is going to play another song to us.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Rev. And thanks each one for being present here and now in this moment of silence. Even though you could hear my voice, but be still and know that I am within each one here. Listen with the inner ear of that still small voice within. And we could say what Ernest Holmes said: we know, and we know that we know. We know when God is guiding us, directing our path, and making the crooked ways straight for us. That's what he do. That's what she do. Every minute, every second. You be like Moses when he saw the burning bush that was not consumed. He said, let me turn aside and see this great sight. We need to take time and turn aside to that voice within. It doesn't matter how many spiritual books we read, listen to spiritual teachers, until we listen to the spirit within. That's why it says, to whom who have ear, listen. Like the Reverend said, that inner ear. Listen to what the Spirit tells or says to the church. The church is us. Those that are spiritually illuminated, that are tuned to the divine. This new name that each one will receive. The new name could be Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace. It could call us flexibility. It could call us kindness and compassion, because that's the language that the blind see and the deaf could hear. But we are kind to ourselves, compassionate to those that are around us. It could be tolerance. Tolerance of the struggles of others that are different from ours. It could be flexibility, openness, love, peace. To be spiritually unfolding in our life, we recognize the creation, the clouds, the sun, and nature all over us, around us, that brings us joy. You want more joy? Be aware of that mind of God within. Having us that mind that was also in Christ. I will give you more joy. Want more joy? Sense. Feel that presence. And all these that we could call it miracles of ours through meditation. And right now we are silent. Listen to that spirit within. for that new name. And we eat from that hidden manna. That's the voice of God. The word speaking to us. It could be in dreams, in different ways. It's tuned to our radio channel and hear no static. When we are tuned to that voice, it's no static. It speaks to us in a still small voice, but it's a thunder within. And then we could say, through the intuition voice, I know that I don't know that I know. We could say like Socrates, one thing I know, that I don't know, that I know nothing. Only know God within. He's my everything. The all and all. And we could say like M.S. Fox. The question a lot of people ask, what's the will of God for me? He wrote it down. He said the will of God for each one of us. Something joyous, something beautiful, something thrillingly interesting, far beyond that anything that we could sit down and wish for with our conscience mind. I believe that he got this from one of the Paul's writing that came to my mind, speaking to the Corinthians. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, or they come into the heart of man. They saw that goodness, or that abundance, or that peace and love that the Lord has created for each one of us. And as we go into the silence together, stay still and listen to that intuition which is incarnated in each one of us. Listen to your new name.
the name come to you yet? Have you determined what direction to take in the new year? A new definition for yourself. What's your deeper understanding of that name or that direction? Open to spirit, open to your intuition, and just see what comes to you. God in me reveals my next step. God as me lives a joyous, peaceful, and fulfilling life. Ground yourself in gratitude and thankfulness, because that's the starting point for everything that flows into our lives. I've heard it said that last year was the year of the snake in Oriental astrology. The snake sheds skin and clears the path. 2026 is the year of the horse. Movement, forward movement, activity. What do we need to leave behind? And what direction do we wish to take? If you're ready, write your name on your stone. And if you still need to think about it, that's okay. Keep the channel open. It will come to you. Move around a little bit, shrug your shoulders, get some movement into your body. And when you're ready, open your eyes.